Hello everybody, my name is Citrus, and it is finally that time. We had the big Nintendo Direct for 2024, the summer, technically E3 Direct, and it was crazy. This was a pretty crazy Direct. Obviously, I think a lot of people were going into this Direct thinking that it was going to be chill, it was going to be a lot of remasters, remakes. They came through with a lot more than just remasters and remakes, and so without any further ado, we just gotta start talking about this. I'm not gonna go through every single announcement because there's a lot of stuff in here that I don't think is worth giving a lot of time to. So we're just gonna hit the big topics, the big things that I want to cover. And at the very start of this Direct, we had a real banger of an announcement. Mario and Luigi Brothership, a brand new game in the Mario and Luigi series. It's been so long. It's been so long since we've had a new Mario and Luigi game. There have been obviously some re-releases on the 3DS, and those were cool. And then Alpha Dream shut down, which was really, really bad, and no one really knew where the series was going to go from there, what was going to happen to the franchise. And it's back. It's in 3D now. It looks really good. They translated the 2D artwork to the 3D style really, really effectively. And it just looks like a really, really great time. Obviously, the music in this trailer is really, really good. And now with Mario and Luigi coming to the Switch, we have Mario RPG, Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, and Mario and Luigi all on the Switch. All of the core Mario RPG sub-series are represented on Switch. I just think that's really, really cool. I don't really have a lot to say about this game. It looks really good. I'm really excited to play it, and it comes out pretty soon. It comes out in November. Is that right? It does indeed come out in November. The next game that caught my attention in this Direct was Fantasian Neo Dimension. Now, this was actually a game that originally released on Apple Arcade, the subscription service on phones. And it's made by Hironobu Sakaguchi and Nobuo Uematsu, who are famous from the Final Fantasy series. They did a lot of work on that series, and so this was them making their own RPG series for Apple devices. Now it's finally leaving the Apple ecosystem. It's going to consoles, and it's just pretty cool to see, a really quality game. A lot of people have talked huge praise about this RPG, finally going to platforms where more people are likely to play it. Interestingly enough, Square Enix is actually publishing the console release for this one, so it's kind of cool that these Square Enix veterans are now linking back up with Square Enix to re-release or port their latest game. Honestly, it's not something that I'm personally super duper interested in, but it is something that I think is really cool and really worthwhile to be available on a platform that isn't an Apple subscription service. The next big announcement in the Direct was Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Donkey Kong Country Returns again. Obviously we had the original Wii release, then they had the 3DS version, and now we're getting the Switch version. Cool, it's not really something that I think a lot of people were clamoring for. No one was begging for Donkey Kong Country Returns to return again, but still pretty cool. Obviously we have this now alongside Tropical Freeze on the Switch, and so those are the two big modern Donkey Kong games on the same platform. Kind of nice. Not that crazy, honestly, but still a cool announcement. Then we had a really big section of this Direct dedicated to the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake thing. It has been a while since we have seen this game, and now we have a date for it, and we saw a bunch of footage of it. It still looks really good. It still looks like the HD 2D style. Obviously, Square Enix has been using that style a lot for various different games and remakes and new games, and they've really refined it down into, what makes it stand out the best and how to make it visually the most impressive. And it's just looking like a great remake. I'm not the biggest Dragon Quest fan, but I can acknowledge that this is pretty big, this is pretty cool. And they also surprise announced that they're doing an HD 2D version of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 as well, as a separate collection that is going to come out after 3, sometime in 2025. Now the next thing really caught me off guard. Marvel vs. Capcom Collection. I never really thought that we would see the Marvel vs. Capcom games re-released. It seems like a bit of a licensing trouble to try and actually get Marvel on board to re-release these old games, but they're actually doing it. You have Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and other games. I'm not personally interested in the other games in the package. I'm really here for Marvel vs. Capcom, and it's really cool to see them bring it back. We don't know the pricing for this game yet, but hopefully it's reasonably priced as a re-release. And there's gonna be rollback netcode for online players, and yeah, it's just cool to see it return. I'm always looking for more fighting games to have on the Switch. They're just fun to pick up and play with friends, and the Switch makes it really easy with the Joy-Con. So yeah, just cool stuff. Really, really cool thing to see return. Low-key wish that they would have brought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as well. That was the one that I grew up playing, but whatever, maybe we'll get it later. And from this point forward in the Direct, I think they were just really hitting us with the big hitters. They started with Super Mario Party Jamboree. This is obviously the next big Mario Party, and it's actually looking surprisingly good. Like, obviously Mario Party never looks too terrible, but this game's actually looking quite good. The new boards are looking really interesting. They have some really interesting mechanics. The new minigames are always looking really great. There's obviously more boards than the last two Mario Parties, which is really nice, because I think in Mario Party Superstars there are 4 boards. Now I think they've added up to 7 boards, which is pretty solid. Not as much as we used to get in the classic Mario Parties on like GameCube and stuff, but still a solid number of boards, a solid step up from the 4 Super Mario Party Superstars. Got the names on these games. It's just looking like a fun time. Mario Party is always a really good time, and yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one more than I thought I would. And then they dropped a bombshell on us. They dropped like what I just really was not expecting. A brand new 2D Zelda game, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, where you actually play as Princess Zelda herself. People have always toyed with the idea of a Zelda game where you actually play as Zelda rather than Link, and obviously there's been some little experiments with that in the past, and like that one CDI game, which was really weird. But now we're getting like a proper Zelda game where you play as Zelda. It's in the Link's Awakening style, which is really, really surprising. I thought that style was going to be saved for remakes. I really thought when the trailer turned on that this was like some sort of remake of maybe the Oracle's games or something. But no, it's a brand new game playing as Zelda. They showed off this interesting mechanic. The reason it's called Echoes of Wisdom is because Zelda can copy the echoes of various objects and characters, and then like copy and paste them into the world to do different puzzles. It feels strangely like Tears of the Kingdom to me, with like the building mechanic in that game. It feels similar to that, and you use it to do different puzzles and combat, and it's a very different style, and I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. I don't know if I'm immediately in love with it. It's not the most exciting thing to be like, you can copy and paste a table wherever you want. But obviously they're really running with this idea. They have a lot of potential use case scenarios for it, and they're really emphasizing this idea that you can play the game however you want and explore however you want and solve puzzles however you want. So it's sort of bringing that modern Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild puzzle ideology into a classic 2D Zelda game, which is an interesting choice, and it's definitely going to be strange to see how this all ends up, but I'm hoping for the best. It does look really, really solid graphically and everything, and just such a unique idea. I don't know, I'm really interested in this one. And we ended with the big game, the big thing, the thing that everyone's been clamoring for I don't even know how many years at this point. Metroid Prime 4, now renamed Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This is where I lose all of my audience and credibility and anything that I ever had before this. I'm not a big Metroid Prime fan. I tried it for the very first time with Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch. Just didn't really get into it. I don't know. I don't really see the appeal of it. I'm really into the 2D Metroid games, but Metroid Prime didn't grab me. And so Metroid Prime 4, I'm not particularly interested in, I'll be honest. However, I am very, very happy for the Metroid Prime fans who have been waiting so long for this game. It has been in some real development hell, having to restart development, I think about 4 years ago. Now we're finally seeing it for the first time, but it is looking pretty solid. It is graphically very, very nice. This game is really pushing this hardware. If it even is on this hardware. Some people suspect that the footage they showed was for the next-gen Switch. I don't think that's the case. I think this game is going to be on both platforms. And if that is the case, and this is Switch 1 footage, incredible that they're getting this much power out of this system. The gameplay itself didn't look too different from your typical Metroid Prime romp, but I'm sure for fans, that's a great thing. They revealed this guy at the end. I'm sure that's crazy to someone. But of course, undeniable that this is a massive reveal for Nintendo, and confirmation that it is coming out next year. So overall, taking the Direct in its totality, I think this is probably the best possible Direct that we could have gotten. With Nintendo seemingly shifting their development focus to their next upcoming platform, and the developers and the big games moving over to that new system, the Switch 2, it just kind of leaves simpler, smaller projects for the Switch to last until that next console comes out. Which is why we were all thinking along the lines of ports, remasters, remakes, things like that, things that don't require as much development to be put out there. And yet we're still getting a new Mario and Luigi game in a completely brand new style. We're getting a new 2D Zelda game that is using really unique mechanics. And we got to see Metroid Prime 4, and then there was little stuff, you know, the new Mario Party looks really good, Donkey Kong Country Returns is getting its, you know, re-release. Overall, really good showing from Nintendo, more than at least I was expecting. On a personal note, I don't think there was anything in this Direct, besides maybe Mario and Luigi, that was like super exciting, like just mind-blowing. Like, it was all pretty good. It was all nice. But I think that is kind of the level that I was expecting for this Direct anyway. And the Direct did drag a little bit. There are certainly sections of the Direct where you're just kind of watching and you're like, okay, for sure, Looney Tunes game, whatever. However, I've really grown accustomed to those low points in the Direct. They don't really bother me that much. So overall, I think they had not only like a really solid showing, but just an overall solid Direct, just a generally nice presentation. I think that what would have made this over the top for me is like just one more game that I would particularly care about. Something like a Kid Icarus port, or I don't know, even like I was kind of going into this expecting potentially a new trailer for Sonic Shadow Generations. Just a little something like that. Maybe would have pushed it over the edge for me. But as is, just a really solid Direct. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the new Nintendo Direct. Really liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. Not going crazy over it, but I am very happy with what we saw. But let me know what you guys thought about this Direct down below. I know there are certainly some Metroid Prime fans that were going to be going crazy in the comments. And yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Peace.